Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome back to Honest Trailer Commentaries. We got a new episode for you this week, but it might feel old and familiar because it's about The Matrix 4, a movie about how everything is old and familiar, and why even bother?
You can't escape. You can't escape.
We're going to be talking about our more detailed thoughts about the film. I haven't really had a chance to open up the floor and have a forum about this movie yet, so we'll do that live. We're also going to show you some deleted scenes, answer some viewer questions and comments, so put those in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end, and then we'll tease you with next week's Honest Trailer. You know the deal. Brand new year, same old show. And same old is the attitude that I got from The Matrix 4 Resurrections, which prompted me to ask the question, do you have to make a movie?
Well, Lana Wachowski answers that question in this movie.
I know.
Jonathan Baron has a line of dialogue where he spells out they were going to make this. It was like, with you or without you, we're making Matrix 4.
There's a lot about this movie that I like. And I did like the self-referential meta-ness to an extent. I thought it was clever what they did to open the film, but it kept going. It was like the first half was so meta and so relentlessly self-referential that it didn't, when the movie started, when it was like, all right, we get what's happening, like we need to go back in and rescue Trinity, that felt really rushed and muddled and unsatisfying to me. Like they shouldn't have masturbated that long. Otherwise it just gets raw and unpleasurable for everybody. Right. But what do you think? Well, I know you like this one a lot more than us, right?
I like this. With the caveat, I understand. Like, I understand why people were disappointed. I get why, if you were a huge fan of the first movie, especially, but even the previous trilogy, why this would feel like it's such a different take and it's going in such a different direction. And it really does, in terms of the action, it obviously that feels just like deprioritized in every way. Like in the original, the first one especially, but also like Reloaded's got that crazy freeway stuff.
Chase,
it was just obviously like that was a central focus of the movie, is like the wire work and capturing that Hong Kong style, and like not a focus this time.
I think famously, Lon, that they famously sold the movie to Will Smith, and the reason he passed was all they just kept talking about was bullet time.
Purely bullet time. And and like it's obvious when you watch the movie, like they're thinking of this in terms of like how it's going to look and the aesthetic and the action and everything else sort of came from there. And this one is such a different take. It's really more of a sci-fi comedy romance than an action film. And like, I like that. I don't mind. There's plenty of action films. I'm happy for The Matrix to be this other thing, but I do get why
it's more like a review of The Matrix 4 while you're watching The Matrix 4.
And I get why there would be a lot of people who you're expecting to come in for a new Matrix movie, and you're like, it's going to be The Matrix again. And then, literally Keanu doesn't pick up a gun. Most of the action is like force field throwing at you, and like it just feels de-emphasized in favor of the comedy and the meta stuff and the more satirical, thoughtful material about reboots and franchise culture.
How'd you feel about it, Danielle?
I felt like they were writing the trailer that we were writing. Like as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, you don't take all the jokes. Like, leave something on the table for us. We have to do our job. Like I don't know. I think I went into it with such low expectations that like it couldn't have. The bar was already on the floor. So watching it, I was like, yeah, like this is fine. Like I like it, but I guess for some people, if you went into it thinking, the first Matrix blew my mind and this is going to blow my mind, there are no minds blown. Like it's, it's just fine. Some people were old makeup. I liked that we had the Broadway boys duel off, but other than that, it was just, Hot Smith's great. Good, good on you.
You mentioned like lowering the bar, and that was, I feel like, why I like and don't like this movie, because the bar was so low, because it's like, okay, she got to do what she wanted to do with this movie. Lana Wachowski got to do exactly the remake she wanted of a thing that I think is pretty clear she did not want to remake or revisit in the first place. Or if she was just going to spend the whole time giving the middle finger to the studio that made it and the audience that cares about it.
Explicitly, I think this movie comes from a place of like, she's not interested in going back to the world of the originals and like revisiting that again. Like as a mission statement, that was like not what she wanted to do. She wanted to come in and like reinvent it in this totally new way. And like, I think that's cool and interesting, but I understand like that it does go very against where a lot of these franchises are going, which is more into the heart of fan service and celebrating the legacy and, you know, all that. Like, we're going to bring back everything you like and recreate all these classic moments. And this is like, no, what if we totally upended every expectation and did the opposite? And like, the one thing I would say, like, in real praise of this is Bound, the Wachowskis' debut film, is really funny. And the first Matrix is actually pretty funny. And then their movies kind of started to get less funny. Like Speed Racer, I think you could maybe is like sort of an outlier. But this is funny. Like, this feels much more like that loose kind of like quippy early Wachowski writing style, which I really appreciated. Like, I thought this was a fun time, even though it doesn't really feel like a Matrix movie.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I think there's much more to say, mostly on the Merovingian and how we needed more Merovingian. But let's run
the new Morpheus. I feel like we could have done a whole trailer just about that.
I was into new Morpheus, but we'll get to it in the trailer.
I like new hot Morpheus.
All right, roll it. The honest trailer for Matrix 4 Resurrections.
From the company that distributes HBO Max content in theaters, and one of the minds behind Jupiter Ascending.
Bees are genetically designed to recognize royalty.
Sure.
Comes in installments so long in the making.
I mean, that movie is very funny. I think like pretty much start to finish is humorous, whether that was intentional or not.
All right, but it's a different kind. It's a different kind of funny, because I think it's purposeful. Like, Jupiter Ascending is supposed to be like big and over the top and cartoonish in that way. Yeah. But yeah, it's a different kind. It's like a dryly funny, sort of more like a snarky kind of funny early Wachowski, as opposed to the absurdity of Jupiter.
The line "I like dogs" is always like, come on.
I like dogs. Yeah.
I like dogs.
And just referring to Lily Wachowski not being a part of this film, I looked into it, and she's just like, I'm tired, and
that's fair.
That came across from Lana, but I guess it's even it's a good thing Lily didn't come on board, because she's just like, I just made 2 huge, big budget sci-fi, soap opera epic films that also had mixed perceptions. Like, I don't want to do this again. Go ahead. If it has to happen, enjoy, have fun with your toys.
They had almost opposite sort of comments. Like, Lily had said, this is an old thing, we did it, I feel like it's done, I want to do new stuff, I'm not interested. And then Lana was like, I really miss Neo and Trinity, I can't wait to do more stuff with them. It was like really interesting how
you have to when you're doing press for the movie you made. You can't be like, well,
but no, I don't think she was just blowing smoke. She's very much speaking her mind about all of this stuff. I
don't know. I'll have to dig it up. There was a red carpet interview with her where they're like, why now? Why bring the Matrix back now? And she's like, good question.
But I agree with that. But I also think you can tell that her love for these characters does, I think, come through in this movie. Like it is dismissive of sequels and the Matrix as a concept. And I feel like, especially one of the things that she's grappling with in this is how it got away from them. Like, they created the Matrix. It had meaning for them. And now it's just become this like catch-all for everybody's everything. And it's been used to express every possible idea and philosophy and trope, including some, we don't have to get into like some sort of negative ones. And I think that this was a response to that as well, of like reclaiming it and like, it got so diffuse and like, no, it's mine. Like, I created this and I get to say what it is.
Yep. All right, let's keep going. I think we'll get into that later.
This is what technology looked like when the last one came out.
Freeman, 713. I am a sentinel.
The Matrix Resurrections.
Seth Rogen, what a chameleon.
Prepare for a film that asks the ultimate question. Do you take the blue pill and let them reboot this without the creators starring Tom Holland as Neo? Or take the red pill and see how far up its own ass the story can go?
This cannot be another reboot, retread, regurgitate.
Why not? I will sequel franchise spin-off!
At last. Wasn't too sure about the callback, but it's hard to resist.
As Matrix 4
attempts
the rare
I loved new Morpheus, which I did not expect. I did not think that, but I guess he was also Agent Smith at the same time. He's
an algorithm based on the combination of like Morpheus's brain, but Agent Smith's like job description. And
I liked him so much in The Matrix, but I can't believe they did it again, where too much of the movie takes place outside of the Matrix, where they're in a cave, and they're talking about strawberries, and they're just going blah 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 blah.
And he's made with one of those like Spencer's Gifts desk toys.
Yep.
Yeah, he's one of the Man of Steel like Krypton robot things, and like again, man. Obviously, The Matrix is better than what's it called now? It's not Zion anymore. It's Io. Yeah. Let's stay away from there.
I don't know. I'm glad we got to check out the new sort of like version of that world, and I did really like the bit where there's like robots are working with humans now. So there's just like some of the squid guys are our friends, and there's that little like non-racist transformer looking guy. Thankfully not racist like his transformer buddies.
Mud-flapping skids.
Hanging out on the desk, just giving people high fives, like job well done. Like I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, it's a cute idea. But again, I think that there probably would have hit harder if they hadn't spent the first 45 minutes to an hour of the movie just like inside the Matrix talking about the franchise films known as The Matrix.
It definitely has some weird pacey stuff. Also, Io really needs to work on its prison system, because they just put you in this tower with a big window, but everybody has spaceships.
Yeah.
This is not an effective jailing.
I liked the cute droids.
I did. That's what I mean. Like there's so much.
You give me a cute little robot pet, I'm gonna be into.
I don't know. It looked like big old headlights or something. I did not find any of them cute.
I think there's so much imagination and creativity here to spare that it's like I kind of found it irresistible, even though like it's weird and absurd and doesn't always feel Matrixy.
All right, let's keep going.
First Double Mind, a movie about being forced to make a follow-up to a trilogy you're currently watching the forced follow-up to, which just ends up being reality?
Our beloved parent company, Warner Brothers, has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy. They informed me they're going to do it with or without us.
It's like the invented bullet time, but for dodging criticism.
Yep, we said it first. You can't say it. We said it.
You forgot how The Matrix ended. No, the other ones.
Look! Just look at that.
Pick up 60 years after Neo became Computer Jesus and brought an end to the war between robot squids and cave ravers. And while in-Matrix coffees have become extremely tiny, not much has changed for the billions still stuck inside.
The Matrix is the same or worse.
But Neo won't return to shut it down for good or awaken the millions who still want to be free. No, instead, watch the Chosen One risk it all.
I mean, there was it was kind of a cynical message, I guess, where I think they were implying that people don't want to leave the Matrix like even more in this version. They're like even happier in there because it's like run by human emotion rather than like I was a little confused by what the analyst had done to change the Matrix.
Right. It's that he's focusing rather than precision, like the architect had designed the Matrix like mathematically using like data, and the analyst was like allowing people to like determine their own loops or whatever, was like allowing people more like creative freedom or mental sort of flexibility while still keeping them in prison. But the secret to the whole thing is that it's powered by the love of Trinity and Neo when they're kept like just
like
apart,
so close,
like
edging.
And I don't think that specifically, I don't think is ever fully unpacked. It's just like their power is the being together and their love.
Gotcha.
Like the one is now the one relationship.
Yeah. And like
as the whole or soulmates or like whatever.
Exactly.
Interesting idea. I just don't know if that was like, I don't know, that was given a chance to be like dramatized or like enacted in the story rather than he just tells you that that's how things are working.
It's always been a talky kind of series. I mean, the first
the first one, the first one hit it so well.
There's like a half hour where Lawrence Fishburne just tells you what is going.
But they also at the same
know,
time,
it's
like
like-
they do show it. Like they do, like even as he's talking, it's not so much like with the architect, it's just like
Yeah.
but with Morpheus, at least like they show you
They
the
put
stuff.
you into like the negative
Yeah.
zone and guns are
Yeah,
flying past
there's
you, or it's like
literally
take
a
this pill or this pill. Like they found ways to make it more engaging and
mean-
have like a visual component to it.
I think you're wrong. There's a scene in The Matrix where they're literally in a white void watching the backstory on a television. Like,
Which was
it's
interesting.
not-
That's visually interesting. I'm sorry, but that was
that's
cool.
that's like the least you can possibly do to cover exposition.
No, and then
What if
No,
they
that was the
just-
architect. Is
What
the
if they
least
just
you can
watch
actually-
exposition on TV and there's nothing else to even look at? Yeah, that's. I'm not. It's a good movie. I'm not trying to say that the original is bad. It's always been a talky, let's tell
Yes.
you what's happening kind of thing.
This is true.
Sometimes you do it with both of your arms crossed behind your back.
And I guess,
Really
I'm
fun.
talking my way into agreeing with some of the choices because it's like, again, if the architect made the Matrix and it was like very precise and ordered and controlled, then it made sense why it was kind of like an old school computer monitor and everything was kind of tinted green and either like dirty or dark. And this one just looked like a CW show. This one looked like a soap opera, which I guess, okay, I get it if that's intentional, but it also makes for like an unpleasant, like, what is this cheap crap movie experience?
It is. I agree with everything you're saying. It is intentional, I think, because it's like it's a world powered by literally love. Like that, of course, it looks glossy and like romanticized or whatever, but it does, like when you first watch it, you're like, is this the Matrix?
Not
Like,
enough green. I need more
yeah.
green.
It is pretty wild. And I mean, she's making a lot of like random aesthetic choices that are just to like set it apart. Like the original Matrix series, you never really know what city they're in. It's really not specified. It's just like rainy and lots of buildings. And it's like kind of every city, USA or whatever. And this one, it's always like San Francisco. Now they're in Paris. We're going to Tokyo. Like it's super specific, always, like where they are. And like, there's just like a lot of stuff that I think she purposefully did just to like mix it up.
Yeah. All right. Keep going.
To eat his girlfriend.
If there is a chance I can free her.
Even if it means endangering everyone in this city.
Because we're finally getting the answer to what the franchise was really about. Taking unlabeled pills, then risking it all to impress a girl you met online.
I just thought
you
were a guy.
Why do all my Trinities look like Harry Knowles? Keanu Reeves and his struggle beard return as Thomas Anderson, a game designer who probably should have taken over Cyberpunk 2077, until he's reborn again as Neo again. A living legend who's treated with the reverence of a modern-day Keanu Reeves.
Not to fanboy out here, but this is kind of a huge moment for me.
Joining him is Trinity, who's back to kicking ass and taking names 2 hours into the runtime.
My name is Trinity.
There she is, newcomer Bugs, the latest example of Warner Brothers space jamming their IPs into everything.
My name is Bugs. As in Bunny. What's up, Doc?
A simulated version.
I really liked Bugs, and then she kind of disappeared. She kind of just gets sidelined. I get it. Neo and Trinity are the core of the story, but like, you still leave this, with Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus being the standout characters, and I guess and you lose Agent Smith as a standout character, but like they couldn't give us one new. Where's the French twins? Where's the weird albino dreadlock French twins of this movie? Where are they?
Yeah, I feel like Jessica Henwick is like forever doomed to like be cool characters that get set up to go somewhere good, and then we never get the follow-up. Because it's like Iron Fist also ends with a really promising potential future for Colleen Wing that we're almost definitely never going to get to see.
No,
So,
well, she might, because she took this movie over something else, I think explicitly to like Shang-Chi, to preserve the chance of coming back as Colleen Wing, which why not? Yeah, Kingpin's back. Screw it.
Could happen.
Yeah. And they did.
But yeah, I also like I like Bugs in this. I thought that was probably the best new character.
Yeah. I did laugh that they brought back the Merovingian. The absolute madman. The best / worst part of the sequels for me.
That actor is
the horny
also
cake scene.
That no orgasm cake. No, thank you.
That actor is
I'll
also
have what she's having.
Paul Verhoeven's Benedetta, one of the like.
Oscar he's the slimy.
Yes, he's the Italian
priest guy.
right. He is the sort of representative of the Pope or whatever. And it took me like half the movie to be like, how did
wow, you're watching me realize that live.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy? And then it'd be like, oh, it's Mary Vinci. Okay.
Also a good movie. You guys should watch the Benedetta if you haven't yet. Okay, keep playing.
Of Morpheus, because the real one canonically died in the bad 2005 video game. Can't bring back the best part of the films if he died in a video game tie-in. That'd just be crazy. Niobe, the character from the good Matrix video game tie-in. And I guess the sequels. Agent Smith, who's been upgraded into a hot musical theater actor, but who brings as much menace to the role as he did to King George in Hamilton.
Awesome. Wow.
Some RoboScab class traders who all look like these things.
I'm sorry. You couldn't get Hugo back for anything.
Hugo doesn't like to come back. He moved.
I guess he didn't do.
He's not Red Skull anymore either.
Yeah.
It's kind of one and done.
Hugo only moves forward. He never goes back.
Yeah. But like, I guess that they were, I thought it was funny that they made like the new Agent Smith like a programmer, and like the real enemy of it all was like Silicon Valley bro culture. But at some point you got to start punching each other, and I just want Jonathan Groff, you sir, and probably Hugo Weaving couldn't either. I don't know. He probably wasn't doing his own fight choreo, was he? Back in the day,
maybe some of the close-up stuff, but no, probably not.
Yeah, I just gotta say, when you see just a bunch of musical theater actors kung fuing each other, it just doesn't hit the same as that initial Matrix movie.
I like that the one of the big final fights was literally Neil Patrick Harris versus Jonathan Groff. Again,
it's funny.
I feel like this is the litmus test for this movie. If you can say, okay, we're leaving the Matrix in her action era and we're picking her up in her romantic sci-fi adventure era, then great, you can accept it and it's fun and it's goofy and it works. But if you're still looking for, the lobby fight or the I know kung fu bit from the first movie, like
the problem is that
first movie, it's on Blu-ray now.
They're right in that brainstorming session, which is like the Matrix was all things to all people. And like the great thing is you didn't have to choose in the first one. You got your romance, got your drama, got your action, got your philosophy. It was like a total package. It was a fully formed story and movie and film and everything. It gave you everything you wanted. And
Four quadrants, baby.
What's that?
4 quadrants, baby.
Yeah, 4 quadrants, baby. So it was an impossible task to recreate that. I mean, they tried and I think failed, though they weren't complete failures, but the sequels didn't fully capture that. And
I don't know. I'm not saying I totally love the sequels either, but they also were like kind of an attempt to like the Wachowskis are like they're the Hugo Weavings of directors. Like they don't want to repeat themselves. And it was always like that was a real hard left from where we thought the Matrix was. 1 ends with Neo's Superman now, and he's going to free everybody from the Matrix. And then 2 or 3 are like, forget everybody in the Matrix. We're about Zion now, and like we're focused on the real world and this war between machines and humans, and it is a real difference. And I think people did react to the sequels negatively because of that in some ways.
Yeah.
This is like another turn. It's just not a U-turn. We're still going somewhere different.
Yeah. Well, I just think that it even like you said in the second one, like that freeway sequence, and in the third one, their attempt at it with like the Battle of Zion is that there was an attempt to do something with the craft of action filmmaking in addition to everything else that they just completely bailed on here.
Yeah, they're all still action movies, and the third one is like this like war dystopian post-apocalyptic war film, really.
Yeah, it's like the Michael Bay Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
a lot of this is just Keanu Reeves like Kamehameha stuff, and like that's most of.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm really not into that.
No.
This one I think is way better than Revolution.
Okay, keep playing.
Class traders who all look like these thingies, and Neil Patrick Harris as the analyst. A clear metaphor for the fact that men do not need therapy. In fact, I am the chosen one, and that married woman I'm obsessed with does love me. She just doesn't know it yet, okay? I did my own research.
Yeah, pause. I like that they tried to like put the red pill thing to bed. They're like, the red pill's not what you think it is, guys. And then they introduced like, but the bad guy in all this, he's the therapist. Your therapist is trying to control you.
Yeah, the movie is pretty like unambiguously anti-therapy. It's hard to find a way around it. Like don't listen to your therapist.
Don't listen to your therapist. Your delusions of grandeur, they're correct.
Dump out all your pills. It's totally
dump out all your pills. They're trying to control you.
They're just holding you back, man.
You could fly, you got powers, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, keep going.
You loved the first Matrix for its original mix of William Gibson's Neuromancer with a Gap Khakis commercial. Now, all that meticulous craft will be sidelined for the same quick-cut garbage fighting that's numbed us out for the last decade. Augmented by effects that are supposed to look fake and bad, I guess? And where Neo still knows Kung Fu, but at this age, he'd just rather spam the block button. Come on, you have John Wick in your movie, and that's the director of John Wick. Would it kill you to wick it up a bit? Wiki wiki kiki kiki.
So pause. Yeah, that is Chad Stahelski playing the character of Chad. See what you did there? God, it's so meta. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think Keanu just doesn't want to do that anymore? Like he doesn't want to. He's already doing 5 John Wicks.
I don't think it's Keanu. I think that was 100% Lana Wachowski saying it's not an action film focused thing anymore. We'll do some action scenes because that's what we got to do. But we're doing this other thing now. It feels very purposeful.
But I don't know. I think that there were 2 sequences: the bullet train and the ending with the suicide bombers or whatever you want to call them, but that were like on paper supposed to be groundbreaking action scenes, but in practice weren't.
I mean, that final scene is cool with the like swarm people attack. Like, I still think it's a cool sequence. Like, while granting that it's not as visually impressive and groundbreaking and intricately choreographed. I mean, that's the number one thing. It feels like the original Matrix fights are very like choreographed. Like it's very specific. And this, it feels like, what we get with a lot of modern action, where it just feels like we're seeing a lot of edited together kicks and punches, and it all kind of vaguely suggests action, but it's not as tight.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it was Keanu Reeves saying, I don't feel like doing that. I think it was Lana Wachowski saying, we're gonna have this totally different aesthetic.
Yeah. All right. Fine. We'll fix it in Matrix 5 and 6. Okay, keep going.
So gather the adult children you've had time to raise since The Matrix came out and revisit a film stuffed with about 100 references to a timeless classic.
Free your mind.
Mr. Anderson!
No. Time is always against us, etc., etc.
And 2 or 3 references from the sequels in this self-aware shrug of defiance towards franchise filmmaking that got trounced at the box office because 2 rival studios released 6 different Spider-Men starring 3 different actors, then reunited them on screen before the M4trix could even come out. Sorry, Neo, you're too late. We've all been spider-pilled.
I mean, pause. What a wild state of affairs that that could happen in between the 3rd and 4th Matrix. Which is, I think that this movie is like the anti-Spider-Man No Way Home. And, well, we see where the public sympathies lie.
It's weird because, obviously the movies were not made in conversation with each other at all, but they do feel like opposite sides of an argument of like, no, the thing to do is to come up with a new story that perfectly weaves everything people love from all the old stories into the new story, and versus like, forget the old story. It was dumb. We're doing this now. It's like literally 180.
I wish they had flipped, though. I wish that the new Spider-Man movie was like, Spider-Man is stupid and your nostalgia is dumb.
Electro, what the hell is wrong with you?
But then
all we're doing is throwing girls off buildings, just girl after girl
after girl, bam, bam, bam. But then the Matrix, they just put everyone back in the leather suits and did more bullet time. I don't know why. I feel like that would have worked better.
We got Tank back. Nobody thought Tank was coming back.
I want to see Joey Pants eating steak and eating various cuts.
There is a shot of Keanu eating steak, like Cypher. They do get a Cypher shot.
But no, I want to see the movie that Joey Pants stars in. Once he's been plugged back into the Matrix. But no, he's dead now. Whatever. We'll build him again.
You could retcon that easy.
Yeah.
I mean, who else was dead? Neo and Trinity. Very clearly.
Trinity was very
screen, dead. Not ambiguous. Like,
yeah. Okay, let's finish this up.
It's about ethics and gaming symbolism. Deus Ex Mac on her. Yeah, I know I'm not Lawrence Fishburne, but give me a chance. The Defenders, Antivirus, Dark Clippy, weaving, Whoa, is that Christina Ricci? For one scene? Jada Packet Sniff. And when you finally buy a bidet.
I gotta hack in the bathroom, hurry!
Yes!
The Great Train Robbery. Pretty cool that the two big villains are both musical theater icons. When are we getting The Matrix on Broadway? Kristen Chenoweth as the Oracle, that guy who played Shrek as the architect? Oh, and Ben Platt as the Spoon Kid. He's the perfect age.
There are two people in this world, people who have a bidet and get that joke, and people who don't and need to get one. You know who you are. All right. That was fun. I think we have a good amount of deleted scenes for this, I believe. And if they're ready to go, let's roll right into those.
Starring the O-Neater, John Click, One Note Man, the IP Man, Tiff Dweller, Cycle Ex-Girlfriend, The Other One, The Two, Trinity Gritty, Looper Trooper, Hack Manta. What is it with this guy in mirrors? Acid Burn.
What's real, Doc?
Doogie Browser. How You Met Your Maker. Legend, wait for it, boring. Can we have a new season of Mindhunter, please? Nio B-Movie. Dread Leader standing by. Jada Wrinkled Smith. Hashtag Gamer Fate. Computer Love. The Sims busting out. The Matrix Regrets. Actually Meta. Hey, you know that cover version of the Rage Against the Machine song at the end is pretty nice. I should check that band out. Never mind.
Yeah, thank you, Danielle.
Yep. If someone's gonna spot the girl peeing,
yeah, I did not. I did not recognize Brass Against from their music. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I mean that really sums it up for me. Is like a cover version of the Matrix 1, and different. For me, worse, but certainly I can see how other people would like it the same or better. But
and it also pees all over you.
And also pees on somebody's face. One lucky fan got brought live on stage. What's the consent like on that? Like, is she like, I'm going to pee on you? And he's like, yeah. Or
yes, my understanding was that she was saying that she really needed to use the bathroom and she asked for a volunteer. And then dude came up and got his whole life. That's my understanding.
Yeah, with that, it's really, you're setting yourself up for felony charges if you're just like, who wants to sing the next song with me? And then this is like a surprise reveal. You got to let people know.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, before they're coming up on stage that's coming.
Totally. All right, let's get into some questions. MJ Pretzer writes, everyone's wearing the same color shirt today, and I think that's nice. Well, look at that. Because we're maybe in the Matrix.
Like on Tuesdays, we wear gray.
Yeah. Devin Bain writes, if it wasn't Netflix show quality action, everyone would have been more forgiving. And I agree. I feel like if they had upped the ante on some of that I think the plot would have flown more smoothly for everybody else.
No, I mean, I think that does seem to be the number one criticism. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know if it's necessarily like the action here is so terrible. It's like that the marketing and advertising doesn't live up to what it is. Like it's setting up disappointment because people think they're getting the Matrix and then they're getting something else. Yeah. So I think it's one of those movies that may benefit from hindsight. Like in a few years, people might go back and with no expectations be like, oh, this was better than people thought at the time. Like, I feel like
that certainly happened with Matrix 2 and 3.
Right.
But, and the prequels and a million other things.
You know, it's like horror movies where it's like they're not jump scare movies, but they're still interesting. But people are disappointed when they go see them because they're expecting jump scares. And I think we're probably in the same zone.
Matan Valensky writes, after the Star Wars sequels, Jurassic Worlds, and the M-Fortrix, do you have a fear of the next Avatar doing meta and legacy sequels, and how will they do it? I have no fear of that. James Cameron only knows one direction. That's forward and downward to the bottom of the ocean. He does not look back. He is always pushing us onto the next horizon. There's no way Avatar is going to be a self-referential meta thing about Avatar 1. God help us all if it is. But yes, I do think that this is now like they said, the third long-running franchise that's now become like this Ouroboros of like self-sucking. And that's enough. I don't think anything else needs to. Probably Marvel's going to end up doing it if they're pretty meta already. But like when Deadpool shows up again or something.
I think post No Way Home, like we're we're doomed. Like I think they're gonna. That's the lesson that.
Yep, they're gonna learn the wrong lesson. Everybody is. Yeah,
that's a good
the lesson
point.
they're gonna take from No Way Home is, oh, they want grab bag, which is not that I'm saying this is what the lesson should be or this is what No Way Home does, but this is the lesson they're going to extract from it. Is every movie now is like portals where every version of every character is meeting up with themselves and like constant self-referential, where it's just a whole universe of that. Like I think we're in for that with every franchise.
God, do we have to reevaluate Ready Player One again? Because I hate that movie.
Don't make me.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but please let's not. But that's that. But I do think that's kind of the template where it's like context free, just like, oh, you like this thing? Guess what? They're all back.
Yeah.
Give me all the Supermans together and make them kiss.
2 questions on a theme. I'd watch that. On a theme here. Trevor Reese asks, how much is this movie a reflection on the change of tech in our culture? Tech-savvy people aren't just the leather-clad ravers anymore. Oh. Also, Mark Sheridan writes, was there enough leather in the new movie is the critical question.
You know, I was very surprised at how much LL Bean catalog wear there was.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Everyone's like casual, like the Uniqlo like clothes. I was like, oh, it's like casual day in the Matrix. Like everyone's wearing like their baggy stuff. It was nice. I bet it was like way comfortable.
I mean, hackers have never been. I mean, I guess that there is like they dress up at raves or something like that. But if they wanted to portray hacker culture, it would be like an extra large gray T-shirt that they got at a conference, for free. That would be, and sweatpants.
Yeah. Well, no, I think this raises a great point, which is that when the Matrix came out, like when it was new, people who were hacking or who understood code or were writing for software, like working on computers, it was still like a niche thing. It was a subculture. It did have a look, it did have an aesthetic, it did have a style. But now, everybody in the coffee shop is working on their app. It's like it's gone totally mainstream. We've all got the new gadget and the phone and the watch and whatever. And so I think, yeah, it does aesthetically reflect that like now suburban moms are playing the Matrix just like the kids were in 99.
Yeah. All right, final question here. Bert Pesci asks, do you think this would have been better if they leaned harder into the meta aspect of the plot, like if Keanu Reeves was playing Keanu Reeves?
Oh,
I don't know.
Boy, one of those.
I think that if they had, I think that the meta part either needed to last sort of the length of the film, and like it ended with Neo leaving the Matrix for the first time, and this was like part 1 of another trilogy, or just make it like the first 10, 12 minutes. I really think it was the anti-sweet spot to be so meta for like act 1.5 to like the midpoint of the movie. I think that was too much, but I still liked its inclusion.
Pretty meta. I think the second thing you're saying makes sense. The first version of it, where the whole movie, it's like part 1 and he's in the Matrix the whole time. Like, I'm really glad she didn't do that. Like, I have no desire to see a full movie of just the part where he's like, oh, is this real? Because we know, like the one issue I think pacing wise with the beginning of this movie is that we know implicitly, because it's a movie, that he's in a version of the Matrix. Like there's no point at which we're fooled. Like maybe he really is just a guy named Tom Anderson who made a game and he's crazy. Yeah. So I don't think you could tease it out for quite that long and build the suspense. But I liked it, and I think like it is a thread that runs through the whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Danielle, final thoughts?
I'm just gonna let's just all go back 20 years ago and like redo everything that we did. So I'm gonna go back to musical theater. And I will catch y'all on the flip flop.
Your timing is great. It's like tick tick boom, and that's what we're all. The culture is doing that with you.
Beautiful. All right. So let's all regress peacefully into the past as we lose the physical digital divide, and just a 2004 singularity is what we're all going for. Mm-hmm. So crank that Black Eyed Peas. We're going back in time, and we're going to see you next week for something that's a little nostalgic, but also moves a little bit forward. And we'll let you know if it hits the mark or not when we do next week's Honest Trailer commentaries. We'll see you then. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.